They killed one lawyer, they killed two, they killed 3 of my juniors, they killed the 4th and my own nephew, my sister's only son, Kanchana Bepala, and threatened to come for me.
I was beaten, I was held in solitary confinement for 2 months. I was a victim of a mock execution. I was taken to the place where usually execute people. I was tied to the pole and 7 guys had a rifle pointed at me.
Akşam bizi bırakacaklarını zannederken terörle mücadele şubesine götürüldük. Terörle mücadele şubesinde 2 saat ayakta tutulduk, duvara dayalı olarak, başımız duvara dayalı olarak. Ve bize yani orada özellikle bana yönelik çok fazla tavırları oldu polislerin. Kollarıma tokatlar attılar, yumruklar vurdular, sıktılar. Ve geldiler, bizi işkenceye götüreceklerini söylediler. Göz bağları getirdiler, gözümüzü bağlamak üzere. O sırada terörle mücadele şube müdürü geldi. Aman dedi, onlar bizim misafirimiz, bırakın. O arada Af Örgütü'nün acil eylem kararı çıkarttığını daha sonra tabii biz öğreniyoruz.
منظمة العفو الدولية حركة عالمية مستقلة تعمل من أجل حماية حقوق الإنسان، حيث تسعى لإطلاق سراح الأشخاص الذين يعتقلون بسبب معتقداتهم أو لونهم أو جنسهم أو لغتهم أو أصلهم القومي أو العرقي أو الاجتماعي أو وضعهم الاقتصادي أو مولدهم أو أي وضع آخر، على أن لا يكونوا قد استخدموا العنف أو دعوا إلى استخدامه، وهؤلاء هم الذين يطلق عليهم اسم سجناء الرأي. وتسعى منظمة العفو الدولية لضمان إجراء محاكمات عادلة لجميع السجناء على وجه السرعة، وتعمل من أجل أولئك الذين يعتقلون بدون توجيه تهمة إليهم، وتعارض المنظمة عقوبة الإعدام والتعذيب وغيره من صنوف المعاملة أو العقوبة القاسية أو المهينة بالنسبة لجميع السجناء، كما تناضل من أجل وضع حد لحوادث الإخفاء وعمليات الإعدام خارج نطاق القضاء. ولتحقيق هذه الأهداف تلجأ منظمة العفو إلى استخدام أساليب نضالية شتى، ومن أكثر هذه الأساليب فعالية أسلوب التحرك العاجل. ويهدف هذا الأسلوب إلى التصدي بشكل ملائم وبسرعة لانتهاكات حقوق الإنسان، مع السعي للحيلولة دون وقوع مزيد من الانتهاكات. ويشارك أنصار منظمة العفو الدولية في مختلف أنحاء العالم في تنفيذ هذا الأسلوب الذي أصبح راسخا. وفي مبنى فرع المملكة المتحدة بلندن يوجد مقر فريق التحرك العاجل، ومن بين منسقي هذا الفريق ري ميتشل.
It's my brief to coordinate the response of the Urgent Action Network in the UK. As soon as an urgent action is issued by our international headquarters, it is my job to ensure that the urgent action is distributed to our members as quickly as possible, and also to ensure that immediate appeals are sent to the appropriate government officials. Urgent actions.
ويبدأ أي تحرك عاجل بمجرد أن تتلقى منظمة العفو أنباء عن انتهاكات لحقوق الإنسان، وترد هذه المعلومات المنظمة من مصادر شتى مثل الجماعات الدينية والنقابات والأهالي ووكالات الأنباء. وقد يبدأ التحرك العاجل أيضا عندما تتلقى المنظمة رسالة مهربة من داخل أحد السجون تبلغها أن ثمة شخصا قد اعتقل.
The urgent action is rapidly sent to our members, who in turn quickly respond by means of telegrams, faxes, telexes and letters. It can all happen very quickly, sometimes on the day that the person is arrested.
Indeed, it's the speed that matters. It's like attending on an injured person in an accident, giving first aid and stop bleeding. It's something like that. The quicker the response, the greater chance of saving the life of the person concerned.
The urgent action is the only tool we have at the moment where we can put forward and out to the world in a concise way the information, the relevant information, to ensure prompt response action, not only through and via our membership, but throughout the whole network of urgent actions.
وقد بدأ التحرك العاجل للمرة الأولى في عام 72 عندما انتهكت حقوق الإنسان بواسطة نظام الحكم العسكري في البرازيل. وعادة ما يتلقى باحثو المنظمة أنباء عن تعرض أشخاص للتعذيب أثناء اعتقالهم.
The first ever urgent action was issued on the 19th of March 1973 on behalf of Professor Luis Rossi. Professor Rossi was a professor of economics at a university in Sao Paulo, Brazil. On the evening of the 15th of February 1973, a large group of police forced their way into the professor's home. They removed books and documents and arrested him.
Agora, a anistia ela teve papel importante porque ela abriu ao nível internacional de que havia, no meu caso particular, de que havia uma pessoa chamada, com meu nome, né, estava preso, que num certo momento era desconhecida o seu destino, não se sabia qual era a sua situação. Então, nesse sentido, foi extremamente positivo.
ولدى شبكة التحرك العاجل مؤيدون فيما يربو على 80 بلدا في مختلف بقاع الأرض من لوسوتو إلى كوريا، ويقدر عدد الذين يشاركون في أنشطة التحرك العاجل بنحو 100,000 شخص، ويتبع هؤلاء أساليب شتى في إرسال مناشداتهم، بعضها مكتوب بخط اليد وبعضها عبر البريد الإلكتروني.
It is very important that appeals arrive on government officials' desks from as many countries as possible. We have to show that human rights are a universal concern and that the whole world is watching. Quite often, government officials express surprise and dismay that a letter writer should care at all about a dissident who's been arrested on the other side of the planet.
Oh, it has a tremendous impact on them. So if you are targeting public opinion, you are focusing public opinion on the villainy of a government. So the wider the network is, the more organizations that bring influence to bear on the government, the better results you will have from urgent action.
الأمانة الدولية لمنظمة العفو الدولية هنا تعكف فرغ من الباحثين ذوي الخبرة على رصد ما يرد من أنباء.
Urgent actions have proven to be the most effective tool to combat human rights violations, at least in the countries I'm responsible for.
I use the urgent action technique for Turkey because Turkey is a country where things do tend to happen very quickly. We tend to hear about events like disappearances, arrests, and sometimes killings very quickly indeed. And it's important to respond fast, and the urgent action technique allows us to do this.
A researcher will write an urgent action within minutes or hours.
In order that the network can respond really fast, we're looking all the time for new fax numbers, new addresses, new people to contact in the government and the security forces. We use different addresses for different appeals for all sorts of reasons. One is that where the issue is clearly a judicial one, for example, where a prisoner of conscience has been taken into custody, then we like to appeal to the Justice Minister, because in effect what we're asking for is a change in the law or a change in the interpretation of the law. But because of the intensity of the human rights violations in Turkey, these particular ministers are receiving appeals very, very frequently. And so we like to, if you like, spread the misery around.
Perpetrators in most of these cases are empowered by the perception of their anonymity, that they're not going to, or they're not to be held accountable. When suddenly dozens or hundreds or even thousands of letters rain over the offices of these people, there is an immediate, in many occasions, change of attitude which will save somebody's life.
We know that it's very effective to have appeals coming from non-Western countries, often Muslim countries, arriving at police stations and on ministers' desks. It challenges their view of what amnesty is.
وإلى جانب ريميتشل هنالك منسقة أخرى للتحرك العاجل هي ريبيكا هيس، بالإضافة إلى متطوعين يتابعون يوميا الحالات الجديدة لضحايا انتهاكات حقوق الإنسان وإرسال إشعارات التحرك العاجل.
In the UK section's Urgent Action Network, There are over 10,000 activists, of whom we can call on about 10% per day to send off a rapid appeal. In order to enable as many people as possible to participate in the Urgent Action Network in the UK, we try to make it as flexible as possible for them. Activists can choose how many cases they receive per year, up to a maximum of 1 per week. They can also choose the manner in which they receive their cases, such as by first-class post, fax or electronic mail.
وتصدر إشعارات التحرك العاجل في حالات الضرورة القصوى عندما يصبح شخص ما عرضة لخطر انتهاكات حقوق الإنسان التي تدعى منظمة العفو للتصدي لها، ولا سيما حالات التعذيب والإخفاء والإعدام خارج نطاق القضاء وعقوبة الإعدام. ويقوم فريق المتطوعين بتصوير البيانات المتعلقة بكل حالة ثم إرسالها إلى ما يزيد عن 100 من نشطاء حقوق الإنسان عن طريق البريد السريع حتى يتمكنوا من كتابة مناشداتهم في اليوم التالي مباشرة. وفي مساء نفس اليوم يكون 100 آخرون أو أكثر من النشطاء قد تلقوا تفاصيل تلك الحالة عن طريق الفاكس أو البريد الإلكتروني، ويحتاج فريق التحرك العاجل لأن يبادر كل فرد بإرسال المناشدات بأقصى سرعة ممكنة مستخدما أسرع وسائل الاتصال. وهذا أمر طبيعي فلكل دقيقة ثمنها في حالات التحرك العاجل.
Not everyone has the time to write their own appeals, so we also offer activists in the UK the option of responding to urgent cases via the Pledge Donor Scheme. In the UK, over 2,000 activists contribute in this way, some of whom write their own appeals as well. For a small annual donation, the UA team in the UK will write at least one fax, telex or telegram to every government official listed on every urgent action. Local Amnesty International groups can also be involved in the Pledge Donor Scheme. For example, the donations made by Bristol Group since 1988 have enabled us to send at least one telegram on their behalves every month. These appeals can be particularly effective because sometimes they're the only way of ensuring that a rapid appeal reaches a government official within 24 hours.
And we need you to send some faxes as well. I've got the information for you. I'm going to send it through by electronic mail.
وتدرك منظمة العفو أن ثمة وسائل متنوعة لدى المشاركين في أنشطة التحرك العاجل، إلا إنها تشجع الجميع على استخدام وسائل الاتصال الحديثة كل ما أمكن ذلك. ولكن من هم أولئك الذين يشاركون في أنشطة التحرك العاجل في فرع المملكة المتحدة لمنظمة العفو؟
Some people join the Urgent Action Network because of a particular motivation, be it membership of a church or a political organisation. But what unites them all is their belief that by appealing on behalf of victims of human rights abuses, they can make a difference.
My name is Jane Gilly and I'm a violinist. Since I joined the Pledge Donor Scheme in 1988, more than 18 telegram, fax and telex appeals have been written on my behalf by the UA team.
My name is Cecil Ballantyne and I've been a member of Amnesty International for 23 years. For about 20 of those years I've been writing urgent actions. But after I retired, I bought a computer, got myself on email, and I found that that's enabled me to make a much more rapid response to urgent actions. It's enabled me to maximise the impact of them. It's flexible, and it gives me a real sense of being in control of the communications themselves.
I've always been opposed to capital punishment, and a large proportion of the appeals that I receive concern imminent executions. The scheme allows me to respond rapidly to the possibility of an execution, thereby possibly saving a life, and I'm also able to help try and persuade those in authority to pay greater respect to human rights in the future.
يعد العمل في أوساط الشباب وداخل المدارس وخارجها جزءاً مهماً من نشاط فريق التحرك العاجل.
Young people have a keen sense of injustice. They know when someone is being bullied and they want to do something about it. Their appeals can be written in very direct language, and as can be seen, they're also often colourfully designed with vivid images. It can be very hard for a government official to ignore them.
Okay, today we're going to write to the ambassador of Thailand. We're going to be asking him to make sure that some refugees from Myanmar are allowed into Thailand for safe haven.
The pupils offer Amnesty International a great deal of energy and enthusiasm, and they're also very effective. Pupils often write in language that is directly and unself-consciously honest, often very, very poignant. And we believe that government officials, other adults, take very good notice.
Your Excellency, I am a Year 7 pupil of Hounslow Manor School. I am writing this letter because I am very concerned about thousands of Karen refugees. They are being turned down when they are trying to escape from the fighting in their country. Many are being badly hurt. Please help, please. Yours faithfully, Charlotte Martin, aged 12.
If we all just like group together and send the letters, I mean there's more of us and like together we're stronger of course, and like I mean maybe we can make a difference.
Well, they're all people, they're not just aliens or anything. We're all people and we need to care about other people as much as we do ourselves.
Everyone's saying that we want the next generation to be really good, but how can you make the next generation really good if you haven't improved this generation?
Yeah.
I wouldn't like to be stopped to go to another country if my life's in danger in my own country. So it's not right, because if they happen to you, it'll be bad, so you've got to put yourselves in their position.
They now look at countries and they don't just see places they've never heard of, but they remember stories and they remember people on whose behalf they've written. It turns places into people for them. I think they enjoy that sense of connection, and they have a sense of connection with each other and with other human rights activists around the world.
In 1996, more than 2,000 people mentioned in urgent actions were released, and 55 people facing the death penalty received stays or commutations of execution. We can't be precise about exactly how many people we've helped since 1973, but we do know that over a third of the cases we've taken action on, we heard of some improvement in the situation of the people concerned. In fact, there are many ways in which the urgent action technique can be effective. Human rights defenders find themselves in a very vulnerable situation in the countries in which they work. And the knowledge that ordinary people all over the world know and care about their situation can sustain them through great danger and hardship.
There was a letter campaign internationally started by Amnesty International along with other human rights groups that resulted in a kind of a change in the attitude of prison guards towards us. In fact, when I began to see some of the letters myself, because I did read some of the letters in jail that were addressed to the head of state, photocopies of them came to us, then I began to have a new sense, the sense of solidarity, international solidarity.
There's no question that the urgent action is one of the most effective techniques we have at our disposal. I mean, just this week, we've been acting on this particular case. This is the case of Şener Yurttapan. He's a human rights defender in Turkey. He was arrested last week. He was held incommunicado. We were worried that he might be ill-treated. We were worried that false evidence may be created against him. We've had appeals going into the Ministry of Justice's desk from the very first day of his detention. That sends a very strong message. Lay off of human rights defenders.
In February 1996, UNESCO worker Christine Alfson Norodom and her family received a series of threatening phone calls at their home in Cambodia. Junior urgent activists were asked to send appeals to the Vice Prime Minister of Cambodia, and later they sent messages of support directly to Christine Alfson Norodom's family. Christine sent us this letter of thanks.
لقد كان لرسائلكم ومشاعر التضامن التي أعربتم عنها أبلغ الأثر في تقوية عزيمتي، وأعتقد أن ما أبديتموه من دفء واهتمام في حالتنا كان أمرا يتجاوز في مغزاه حدود أهلنا، فهو بمثابة رسالة موجهة إلى جميع ضحايا إساءة استخدام السلطة في هذا البلد وفي غيره. إن بوسع أولئك الأطفال أن يشعروا بالتعاطف وأن يعربوا عن التضامن مع أطفال آخرين في أقصى بقاع الأرض، وهذا في حد ذاته أمر ضروري لبناء مستقبل آمن لنا جميعا.
Governments can be very sensitive to international concern about human rights violations in their country. Every day we receive an average of 20 government replies forwarded to us by UA activists in the UK. Some of these replies deny or undermine Amnesty's information. Others seek to affirm the spotlessness of their human rights record or make accusations against other opposition groups in their country.
We know that the Mexican government has invested a considerable amount in funding a human rights department which replies to most of the appeals that they receive. The Rwandan ambassador in London has even been known to telephone activists personally. to explain his viewpoints on the human rights situation in his country.
What we derive from these responses is that governments are embarrassed enough about activists' appeals to take them seriously. The letters and petitions activists write are making a difference to thousands of prisoners throughout the world.
وهذه رسالة أخرى من الدكتور إياد السراج أحد دعاة حقوق الإنسان البارزين في فلسطين يقول: إنني سعيد لاسترداد حريتي مرة أخرى وأشعر بالامتنان لمساعيكم من أجل الإفراج عني، فما كان لي أن أتغلب على محنتي لولا جهود أناس مثلكم ذوي قلوب عامرة بالدفء وعقول تتمسك بمبدأ الكرامة الإنسانية. ولكن ما هي الخطوة القادمة وإلى أين تمضي شعارات التحرك العاجل التي تنطلق من هنا؟
We need to improve the universality, speed and consistency of our response. We also need to devise new and more rapid ways of responding, using all the methods of modern technology at our disposal.
Most of all, we depend on you, the participants in the Urgent Action Scheme, to keep sending appeals as quickly as you possibly can by the fastest means at your disposal, to ensure that fewer cases of torture occur throughout the world and that more lives are saved.
I am living testimony to the fact that urgent action is an efficient way of saving human lives. This is living proof. I'm here because of the urgent action.
The reason why I'm alive today is because of the work the Amnesty International and other human rights groups were able to do in our case when they adopted us as prisoners of conscience.
Amnesty offers a tremendous amount to pupils because it gives them an arena in which they can develop their compassion and develop their skills in terms of dealing with the adult world. Hopefully they'll develop the habit of picking up a pen or going to the fax machine or the computer when they see something wrong in the world, and they'll act constructively.
I've been approached often in Turkey by people who have asked for us to intervene in a situation that's actually unfolding that very moment, that very hour or that very day. I have had the Urgent Action Network at my disposal, and it's a realistic and effective tool, and that's a wonderful thing.
I see an urgent action as flashing our torchlights to scare and shame the wit out of perpetrators.
Şimdi Uluslararası Af Örgütü Türkiye'deki hak ihlallerinde yurt dışında tepki gösteren tek kuruluş diyebilirim. Ve Türkiye'de çok önemseniyor hakları ihlal edilenler tarafından çalışmaları ve acil eylem bir kurtarıcı olarak görülüyor.
The Urgent Action Scheme is a flexible and potent means whereby I, as an individual sitting at my desk at home or at work, can help try and defend human rights across the globe.